All right, thanks, Ellen. It's time for my final thought. Now, President Trump is continuing to carry his bitter personal feud with the late Senator John McCain beyond the grave with a number of disparaging comments and tweets. Now, yesterday, Trump reiterated his disdain in a White House press conference saying, quote, "I was never a fan of John McCain and I never will be," end quote. Now, this comes on the heels of a tweet storm over the weekend where the president alleged John McCain finished last in his class at the U.S. Naval Academy. Now, I find this critique very interesting considering the source. Senator McCain was famously a prisoner of war in Vietnam and a decorated war hero. President Trump got a medical deferment from being drafted due to a mysterious bone spur. One man actually walked the walk. The other continues to just talk. Now, it's especially insulting when you think about the treatment that veterans have endured during Trump's presidency, from feuding with a Gold Star family on the campaign trail to taking money from military construction funds connected to a host of planned housing, medical, and logistics projects in order to fund the border wall. Now, Trump's continued attack on John McCain's legacy is another slap in the face to the armed forces and in stark contrast with all of his talk of respect for our military. Now, the presidential thing to do at this point would be to move on from this unnecessary drama and focus on more pressing concerns. However, it doesn't look like the White House will be going that route anytime soon. So brace yourselves for more sound bites and angry late-night tweets. But what interests me more are the president's supporters, who allow him to position himself as a defender of our troops despite a growing mountain of evidence to the contrary. Evidently, taglines matter more than front lines. We're going to continue this conversation online. You guys have a beautiful hump day. Last day to call in sick. Get up, TC.